Good afternoon, and thank you for joining us today for our community forum regarding the redistricting of the Anaheim Elementary School District. This afternoon, our goal is to provide you with as much information as possible about this process, as well as the different scenarios that have been prepared for our district. Joining us this afternoon, we have, Jesse Chavarria, Assistant Superintendent of Administrative Services for AESD, Dr. Yadira Moreno, Director of School, Family, and Community Engagement. On my left, we have Angela Banuelos, Senior Associate Director of Cooperative Strategies, and Ron Winkart, Legal Counsel for AALRR. So this afternoon, everyone, one of the things that you will notice in our presentation is that we are simply providing information. We will not be making a recommendation regarding the different scenarios that will be presented. Our goal is to share information and then to hear from you, the community and our families, about what is the best option for our district to take and choose. Our Board of Education will be making a decision, and they truly want to hear the input of the Anaheim community. So with that, it is my pleasure this afternoon to turn our presentation over to Angela Banuelos. Angela, take it away. Thank you.
So good afternoon. So we're going to be going over 2010 census data and 2020 census data. And we're going to be going over 3 conceptual scenarios that we're providing for consideration, and then their data sets. So when we compared the data from the 2010 census and the 2020 census, the district came to a variance of 18%. So the district is currently allowed a variance below 10%. That's the allowable threshold for this process. As you can see, in 2010, the variance is 4.7%, and currently, again, it is 18%. There were significant changes in trustee area number 2 with a negative 4.2%, and a significant increase in trustee area number 4 with an increase of 12.7% for a total of 6,101 inhabitants. So unfortunately, the district is out of compliance for this variance and would need to redistrict for the next 10 years. So the overall growth within the whole district boundary is 3.1%, and that's 6,051 inhabitants. So again, I'd like to remind you that this process only affects how you elect your school board members and does not affect your attendance boundaries. So here we have a demographic chart for the 2020 census data. And here we have the total population numbers that help us identify how to equally divide each inhabitant among each trustee area. So the total population for 2020 is 202,659. The largest protected class voters within the community are the Hispanic Latino community at 63.8%. And the second largest protected class voters are the Asian community at 15.1%. Here we have a color graduated map of the citizen voting age population estimate, also known as CVAP. And what this information tells us is who is eligible to vote. The previous total population includes children, elders, eligible voters, and non-eligible voters. This one just includes eligible voters. Here we can see the color graduated map helps us identify those communities of interest, in this case the Hispanic Latino community at 48.2%. So the darker the area, the more dense it is, the lighter the area, the less dense in population. And then the second largest protected class voter for the Asian population is 18%. So this data set is provided by the American Community Survey, which is a subdivision of the Census Bureau. This information helps us identify those communities of interest and how we should not split those communities of interest or impair their ability to elect a candidate of their choice. So here we have a picture of the current trustee area. Trustee area number 1 is the yellow. Trustee area number 2 is the green. Area 3 is the pink. Area 4 is the blue area, and area 5 is the purple. When we break down the total population from the 2020 census information, we get an ideal size. So the ideal size is the total population divided by the amount of trustees. So in this case, 5. The ideal population size here is 40,532 for a total variance of 18%. Within each area, we provided the total population and the variance number, and also the demographics within each trustee area. Notably, as we mentioned before, trustee area number 4 had an increase of 12.7%, and trustee area 2 had a negative 0.4%, and trustee area 5 have a negative 5.4%. So what does this mean for the district? So because the variance is above 18%, they need to rebalance the population again. Because it's only 8%, those are slight variations to the existing boundaries, because we want to keep the boundaries that were identified during the transitioning process a few years ago, and also not disrupt as many voters. So the considerations in drawing our areas is each area shall contain nearly equal number of inhabitants. Again, we draw the lines to comply with the Federal Voting Rights Act. So no cracking or packing, no gerrymandering. The areas have to be compact and contiguous as much as possible, meaning the shapes have to be compact. We can't draw shapes that are very obscure. We represent communities of interest when possible and follow man-made and natural geographic features such as main streets, highways, railroads, mountainous areas. And we try to respect incumbency because it is the people who have chosen their board members, and we try to respect that type of incumbency. However, it's not a predominant factor when drawing these maps. So here we have a depiction of scenario 1. In each scenario, you will see a purple outline of the current trustee area, and you'll be able to see the difference and the changes in the shading of where those changes occurred in the scenario. So here in this particular scenario, the changes are in this area here, which would be trustee area number 4 and 5. So scenario 1 was drawn in consideration of minor boundary adjustments by decreasing area 4 and increasing area 5 to bring the district back into compliance. In this scenario, Roosevelt Elementary School moved from area 4 to area 5. Again, this is just who you're going to elect as a board member, and this does not affect your school attendance boundaries. A noteworthy detail within the scenario is that areas 1, 4, and 5 are based on total population and CVAP data and have 3 majority Hispanic Latino areas. And then this particular scenario has a variance of 7.9%. So what does that mean? So that means that the ideal trustee area size on each trustee area is below that 10% threshold. And as seen circled in trustee area 1, 4, and 5, the citizen voting age population, the actual voters, create those majority protected class areas because they are above 50%. As seen here. So in this scenario, there were changes to trustee area number 1, 4, and 5. And we'll go over those changes. So scenario 2 was also considered with minor boundary adjustments. Jefferson Elementary School was moved into area 1. Mann Elementary School into area 2 from area 1. to balance the schools within each area. And a noteworthy detail of this scenario is that areas 1, 2, 4, and 5, which are based on total population and CVAP data, are 4 majority protected class areas for the Hispanic Latino community. This particular scenario has a variance of 6.3%. Again, we noted those majority protected class areas in Area 1, Area 2, Area 4, and Area 5. Here we have Scenario 3. Again, changes occurred in Trustee Area 1, 4, and 5. This scenario was also drawn in consideration of minor boundary adjustments by decreasing Area 4 and expanding Area 5 to bring the district back into compliance. Jefferson Elementary School moved from Area 4 into Area 1, and Roosevelt moved from Area 4 into Area 5. A noteworthy detail, again, is areas 1, 4, and 5 have majority protected class areas based on total population and CVAP data. This particular scenario has a variance of 7.7%. Interesting Area 1, the CVAP, Trustee Area number 4, and Trustee Area number 5 have those CVAP data circled. So if these maps are also available on the school website, if you'd like to look at those or print those out for you to dissect. Also, the tables for each map are also available on the school website. And here we'll stop and see if anyone has any questions or would like to provide any comments. Thank you.
Thank you for that presentation. We are now open for any questions that you might have about the redistricting processes. Is there anyone virtually that might have a question?
Not at this time.
Thank you. Well, as we will continue to have four more presentations throughout this week, next week, and the week after. So if you couldn't join us today, you are more than welcome to join any of our other school sites. The same information will be delivered at all 7 of the school sites that it affects. Each school office also has a Dropbox available. And starting next week, Monday, January 10th, we will have maps and also questionnaires available to solicit your feedback on what is the best scenario that you feel would be supportive in the process as we continue through the redistricting procedures. Again, this does not affect the student's attendance boundary, just the way the trustees represent certain schools. Thank you for your time this afternoon, and we appreciate you being here with us.